Okay, hi everybody. So I've invited you here for marketing and branding. So I've been on Facebook and I've gone through a lot of groups and I've invited you all, and I made the faux pas of advertising on a particular educator's page a couple of times. And at first I was really shocked by that, but then I realise that there's so many different things that I see in your marketing and branding. So firstly, if I have gone over somebody's page a number of times, and that means that that page either didn't stand out or the name wasn't in that page or whatever that is, I see some marketing and branding that is what I would consider messy. So it doesn't really tell me what your message is. I see some that have got it nailed, and just by looking at that image I can see what that educational program is aspiring to meet. So there's a few things that I want to see. So look, at the end of this, I am going to invite you to put your logo into this group so that we can all have a look and give you some feedback and work on it together and get it right. And marketing is really tricky and branding is really tricky. So we're going to unpack this. So marketing and branding for educators is really tricky. There's a couple of things that we want to do. So you need to have what I consider 3 strategies. Okay. See, I can't even write. Strategies. So 3 strategies. You need an internal strategy. Now, your internal strategy is around what you want your families to know. So that's around what you provide for the families, how you meet the national quality standards, how you deal with early childhood behaviours, how you deal with early childhood learning. And what does that do? That sends families to their workplace and they talk in their, we call it the water cooler. That sends families into their workplace and they say, well, at where I send my child, they get this and they get that and they get that. And why? Because they're informed. So this is your internal strategy. So you should have what I consider a marketing program or a marketing strategy within your educational program, within the service that you offer your families. So that would be around, and the example that I use, and I'll give you one example. The example that I use is if I've ever had families that come in that age bracket between, say, 12 to 18 months, I would always give them documentation, information. I would teach them that biting is potentially a natural thing, which it is. So when biting should, or if it does happen, then the families, they're not mortified by the biting. They're educated that it is a natural thing, that it is part of early childhood development, all those sorts of things. So therefore it doesn't turn into a complaint. So they feel supported, they feel educated, they feel informed, they feel that they can empower their child on the other side. So what, biting, and we put obviously what we can in place to make sure that that biting is kept at a minimal, and that sometimes means that we walk around behind a particular child who is the biter to make sure that they don't victimise another child. So we do all of that, absolutely we do. But that's your internal strategy. That's about informing parents of what will take place potentially with age groups, because there are developmental norms, so we know that we can expect certain behaviours. So that's one of the things that we look at. And then we've got 2 external strategies. One is your branding, your colours, your philosophy, how are you going to get your message out? So you're not just advertising when you have a vacancy. You've got this external strategy. Your first external strategy is putting yourself in the front of people's minds. So let's just say I'm a family member and I see your external strategy. So let's just say it's XYZ family daycare. What we offer is da 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 da. So you're promoting yourself. You're not just advertising for vacancies. You're promoting what you offer. So you may have 2, 3, 4, 5 whatever, 10 things that you advocate for, and that should be your philosophy, and it should be linked back to your logo and all those sorts of things. So this is where your branding and marketing comes into place. So that should all link back. So let's just say I'm a family in your area and I see this, whether it come through my Facebook page, whether it come through the local media, whatever medium you choose to use, I would see this and I would say, you know what, I've got a baby, I'm not ready quite yet. But when I'm ready for that, you're already in the back of my head. So you may not hear from me for 12 months. So this would be an ongoing strategy. So now we've got two strategies. That is, you've got your word of mouth strategy here, and then you've got your putting in the back of your brain strategy, and then you've got your advertising. So that is advertising, and that is where you would advertise things like, you know, we have a vacancy coming up. So you should have these three strategies in place at all times. This one, for me, this internal strategy is probably the most important, because it's the parents that speak with other parents, and it's those parents that will say, you know what, I've heard really good things about you. Do you have a vacancy? Oh, you know what, I can put you on the waiting list, da, 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 da. So this internal strategy, it actually costs you less. So this would cost you less. And this is your long-term strategy. This is your word of mouth strategy, so to speak. This one here, this external one about, you know, you would do that intermittently. So there would be a cost involved with that, but that is really minimal. So you would do that periodically. You might only do that maybe annually. You might do that 6 months, depending on your turnover. And we can talk about turnover, but depending on your turnover, you may do this really infrequently. And this one would be simply based on a needs basis. Okay, so that's what that would be. So that gives you an overview of marketing. Now, we haven't really talked about branding. So I've added the branding downloadable here. It's really cheap. We've worked really hard to get it right for you guys. But branding is around your colors. Branding is around the message that you send. And as I said earlier in this video, it's about that message. It's about that image that when I look at logos and those sorts of things on social media, when I look at them, sometimes they do look really, I'm confused about what, if I were a client, I'm really confused about what that potentially could be. Some of them really hit the spot, don't get me wrong. And then some of them mean, you know, kind of nothing. So what is it that you want to send? What message does your logo say? So what does that image, what does that tell me if I'm your potential client? So you've got to have a look at what do your colors say? Like for me, and here are my colors here. So I went the green, the white and the silver. So I went green for because green is growth and new and fresh. I went white because it's about being crisp and clear. I went silver because it's about being professional. It's about being, so they were the reason why I chose my colours. I chose JPS because I struggled for a really long time to think about what I was going to call my business. And I eventually woke up in the middle of the night at like 4 o'clock in the morning and went, what am I selling? What am I selling? What am I selling? What am I doing? What am I doing? And I'm selling myself. I'm selling the experience that I have. I'm selling the training that I have. So of course, JPS is, and I'm going to let you in on a secret for my middle name, Jodie Pauline Signorino. So that's why I did JPS. So you've got to really think about what is it that you're selling? What is it that you're branding? Where does that sit here? And that should, your imagery, your colors should tie into your philosophy. So I am going to invite you to put your logos in here. We will all, you may get some negative feedback and that's okay. I always say if you get any kind of negative feedback, and I've had loads of it over the years, it's an opportunity for you to improve. So it's not about somebody telling you that you've got fat, horrible shoes. It's about somebody saying to you from their perspective, you know, maybe these colours don't work, or maybe this image doesn't work, or maybe this message doesn't work. So that's what we want to get to in the group. So welcome aboard, everybody. We've got a whole lot of new members, and I know that you've come together for that most of you have come for this. So I really look forward to working with you. Yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you all soon. And I do talk to some of you on Messenger, so hi to you guys, because I've had a few conversations with many of you over the past few weeks. So again, welcome aboard, and we will talk. See ya. Bye.